What if I told you that behind the shining pyramids lies a story of suffering, of sweat, and of sacrifice? We usually imagine ancient Egypt as the land of eternal pyramids, golden sarcophagi, and mysterious hieroglyphs. But behind the glory of the pharaohs and the luxury of the temples stood another face of history, the lives of slaves. They were the invisible builders of the empire, hands that moved mountains of stone, backs that bent under the weight of harvests, souls that carried burdens heavier than the desert sun itself. Picture this. The sun rises over the desert. A horn echoes across the sand. Hundreds of men gather in lines, chains clinking on their ankles. One slave grips a rope tied to a massive limestone block. His palms are torn, bleeding, but he pulls. Next to him, another stumbles, too weak to go on. A whip cracks, the overseer shouts, and the stone inches forward, inch by inch. This was their sunrise, not once, but every single day. Every temple, every statue, every pyramid was paid for with their lives. And today, we will step into their world. A world of hard labor, fear, and sometimes even hope. Are you ready to uncover the hidden truth about what it meant to be a slave in ancient Egypt? Can you guess how many ways there were to become a slave in ancient Egypt? Not all were captured and sold. Some were prisoners of war, dragged from the battlefield, their weapons broken, their families left behind. Others were debtors, shackled for failing to pay what they owed. And children born in slavery inherited it like a curse, opening their eyes already bound by chains. Imagine the scene. A caravan of captives marches across the desert. Dust rises with every step. The victors shout triumphantly, while the defeated walk in silence, knowing their freedom is gone forever. At the city gates, they are divided. The strong sent to quarries, the young to temples, the weak discarded as worthless. Some slaves became living property of temples. Others were gifted to nobles as rewards. For many, it was not just chains on their bodies, but chains on their entire bloodline. What if I told you that some slaves lived better lives than peasants? In noble households, slaves sometimes ate and slept under the same roof as their masters. Meanwhile, poor farmers starved under the weight of taxes, with no roof, no food, no safety. For some, slavery meant bread every day, instead of hunger every night. But make no mistake, even the lucky ones lived without freedom. Did you know? Not all Egyptian slaves hauled stones for pyramids. There were house slaves, temple slaves, royal slaves, and endless fields of agricultural slaves. Some served wine at banquets, listening silently to laughter and music they could never join. Others harvested grain under the blazing sun, their skins cracked and burned. A few lived closer to pharaohs than common people ever could, polishing royal sandals, carrying sacred fans, guarding doors. But behind the walls of privilege, chains still clinked. 95% of people believe slavery was the same for everyone. But in truth, there was a hierarchy. Some lived better than peasants. Others died under the whip. Can you guess how many years it took to build the Great Pyramid? Behind every block, human sweat. Behind every wall, human pain. Thousands dragged stones under the blazing sun. Ropes strained. Wooden sleds groaned. And men collapsed in the sand. Picture this. Rows of slaves pull together. A foreman counts the rhythm. The block moves an inch. Then a man collapses, too weak to stand. The overseer doesn't wait. The whip lashes his back. The others keep pulling, terrified to stop. It's terrifying but true. If one block slipped, dozens of slaves could die instantly. Slaves dug canals, built temples, raised defensive walls. Their workday stretched from sunrise to sunset. Some even died inside the pyramids themselves. buried under stones when scaffolds failed. To this day, archaeologists find bones crushed between blocks, a silent reminder of human sacrifice hidden inside monuments of eternity. 1 hour at the pyramid site could cost a whole year of life. For us, pyramids are symbols of eternity. For them, they were monuments of fear. Did you know slaves often ate what we'd call scraps today? Barley bread, onions, radishes, sometimes rotting fish, their clothes, simple linen rags, their homes, tiny rooms near noble estates, or collapsing shacks at the edges of villages. Heat during the day, cold at night, disease spreading quickly in the dark. Picture this: a family of slaves huddled together at night. Children shiver under a torn cloth. A mother whispers a prayer. The father coughs, exhausted from the fields. Tomorrow, the same fate awaits them. Even water was rationed. Many drank from muddy canals where animals bathed. Illness spread quickly, and few lived beyond 40. Childhood ended early. By age 7, children carried loads and served at tables, already trapped in labor. What if I told you, even in their sleep, slaves found no rest? They lay on bare ground, dreaming only of surviving the next day. Are you ready for the shocking truth about punishments? Slaves were property, and property could be beaten, branded, even killed. A runaway, burned with a hot iron. A rebel, beaten to death before the others, as a warning. Here's what experts don't tell you. Egyptians also used humiliation, breaking the spirit before breaking the body. Imagine being forced to kneel in front of a crowd, laughed at, whipped for amusement. A reminder to all others, resistance was useless. A loyal craftsman might find mercy, but for most, life was ruled by fear. Picture this. A slave stumbles carrying water. The jar breaks. The master doesn't hesitate. A blow to the face. The crowd laughs.
The man bleeds, trembling, but bows and apologizes. This was their reality. Violence not just as punishment, but as spectacle. Imagine this. One word from a master, and your life turns into hell. Would you survive? Did you know even slaves hoped for an afterlife? They prayed to the same gods as their masters, but while nobles asked for wealth and victory, slaves prayed for one thing only: an end to suffering. Some were offered as living gifts to temples. They worked the fields of the gods, convinced their service brought them closer to salvation. Faith was their only escape. Picture a slave whispering a prayer at night, clutching a tiny amulet hidden in his palm. Archaeologists have found them, small tokens of hope buried in the dust. Proof that even in despair, slaves still believed in freedom of the soul. What if I told you a slave could sometimes become free? It was rare, but it happened. A ransom, a master's mercy, years of service in the army, or freedom granted in a will. But let's be honest, these were exceptions, not the rule. Here's the truth: 99% died in chains. Yet those rare stories were whispered among the enslaved. Stories that one day, perhaps, fate might change. Are you ready to see Egypt in a different light? We admire the pyramids, the pharaohs, the gold, but hidden behind the splendor was a silent army, slaves. Their hands moved the stones, their backs carried the harvest, their lives built the empire. Without them, there would be no Egypt. Their voices are lost, but the desert keeps their memory. So next time you see a pyramid, ask yourself, who truly paid the price for this eternity?